I'm not sure if you can hear me or not, but currently we are here at the Durban CBD, where the National Union of Metal Workers of South Africa have actually taken to the streets to commemorate Workers' Day. And with them, they've got their federation, the South African Federation of Trade Union, and they've got their Secretary General, Mr. Zwelinzima Vavi, who's also currently right here with me. Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Zwelinzima Vavi. 25 years into our democracy, have the plight of workers improved?
Economically, not a damn. Economically, we're seeing more people unemployed. In fact, we're breaking the world records when it comes to unemployment, with 37% unemployment rate, which is way above 40% for black people. We are in a crisis of beyond description of the world catastrophe. We are number 6 in the entire world when it comes to those rates of unemployment. When it comes to youth unemployment, we're number 1 in the whole world. When it comes to inequalities, we are number 1 in the whole world. And when it comes to poverty, we've got 55 to 67% of the population trapped in degrading and dehumanizing poverty. Our wages remain trapped. The income inequalities in particular are growing all the time to make South Africa a laughing stock about by the people who were helping us to achieve the first 25 years of democracy. So yes, in economy, the people who enjoyed the benefits during apartheid remain the main beneficiaries of the economy 25 years down the line, and that's why these workers you see here are marching to say enough with economic apartheid.
Mr. Zwelinzima Vavi, when you and I were talking, we spoke in depth about worker exploitation. Right, let me make you just a brief example. Here next to me, I've got a building, and workers are still working on Workers' Day. You showed extreme concern about this.
Absolutely. We underline the point that normally we say that the paper accepts anything written on it. The Constitution, the Basic Conditions of Employment Act, and other pieces of labor legislation protect workers in relation to the right to have a double time for working on public holidays such as today, the Freedom Day, and many others. But increasingly, the employers simply run rough shoulders against, and they run around these protections that are provided in law. As we speak, almost 50% of South African workers have no access to paid leave, annual leave. They have no access. 50% have no access to UIF. And more people are working longer and longer hours. We are not moving closer to 40-hour working week, which is what created this day, the 1st of May. But we are moving into more and more longer hours. I can bet that these workers you see here in those scrape folders have no double time, will not get any kind of compensation for working on a public holiday as they are being forced to do so. But if they were to dare say, no, this is not acceptable, they will be told that there are 10, 11 million other South Africans that are waiting for outside to get into your job.
Mr. Zwelinzima Vavi, a lot of employers are still not compliant with the minimum wage. What is SAFTU doing about that?
We knew until we get a pro-worker government. This government speaks on the upper part of its lip and do something else on the lower lip. It contradicts itself. We were told that the 1st of May will represent a new point of liberation for workers. But the reality is that it is not only the national minimum wage that the employers are sidelining, but every aspect of legislation that protect workers. This government have no capacity. It have far too few labor inspectors to enforce and to protect the workers against the abuses that we are speaking about here. That's the crux of the matter. And unfortunately, the trade union movement has equally been so fragmented and so weakened that we are unable to protect those workers against that type of an abuse. As I'm sure you're going to see here, workers continue to be brutalized and exploited right during their Workers' Day, recognized all over the world as the day specially put aside for workers to remember that they are a class on their own that must be liberated and that their struggles must continue to be coordinated to ensure that they are liberated truly.
Lastly, Mr. Zwelinzima Vavi, I understand that the whole issue of being affiliated to government has been some of your vocal points. We also understand now that you are an affiliate of NUMSA, and NUMSA has a political party which they want to send into parliament. And because they want to be in government one day, what's your posture on that?
You know, you got your facts totally upside down. NUMSA is an affiliate of SAFTU, and SAFTU is not affiliated to any of its unions. NUMSA is part of the 32 affiliates of the Federation SAFTU. But NUMSA is an autonomous organization with a right to decide on what is think it is good for workers and it is good for the country. So NUMSA as NUMSA, long time ago in its 2013 Congress, decided that time have now come for workers to be organized as a class for itself as a class. And they created the Socialist Revolutionary Workers' Party to contest power in parliament and to contest power everywhere else in society. NUMSA must be allowed to do that, but please don't drag in SAFTU and say SAFTU is an affiliate of NUMSA.
Are you in favor of NUMSA forming a political party?
We have not yet discussed the matter, so we have no position. We are taking no position for and or in opposition of the SRWP. That discussion inside SAFTU is still outstanding. But please remember, SAFTU is a federation only created 2 years ago. It must be given a space to grow. It must be given a space to coherent. It must be given a space to unite, because we see SAFTU as a vehicle to help us organize the unorganized workers that amount to almost 76% of all workers in the country. Leave SAFTU to do that responsibility. But the unions who are much more matured, who have decades behind them, like NUMSA, and others may discuss the issue and say this is where we are going to in relation to the issues of elections. We are not there as the federation.
Won't that weaken the workers of NUMSA becoming a political party?
NUMSA will never be a political party again. You are making
but their leader.
Hold on. NUMSA is not a political party. NUMSA, every cent have not been used to form any political party. That I know as a matter of fact. NUMSA have decided to spearhead, to champion, and to crystallize the idea of a workers' party. But they know that they cannot be a workers' party themselves. They will create, they will help strengthen, they will make sure that that workers' party is strengthened as an independent party of the working class, not as a trade union that NUMSA is.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zwelinzima Vavi. This is a discussion for another day. Mr. Zwelinzima Vavi just putting clarity, saying that NUMSA is not a political party, saying that the formation of the South African Revolutionary Workers' Party has nothing to do with SAFTU, it has nothing to do with NUMSA, but saying that they are hoping that should the SRWP get to parliament under the leadership of Ivan Jim, they will then champion the workers, rather the plight of the workers in parliament. Over back to you in studio.